We have quite a lot of exciting, sometimes slightly bizarre things to talk about today. Today I am discussing Season 8, Episode 19 of Cheers, Indoor Fun with Sammy and Robby. This is directed by Andy Ackerman, and as always there will be spoilers as I go through things chronologically and share some thoughts. We have a fun goof, we have a chance to share a fun fact that I recently learned about The Office. There's an almost X-rated joke at one point, and we have a new word. Sam kind of makes up a new word, so lots of fun to be had. As always, I'll go through the things chronologically. We have the cold open with Frasier coming in, happy that he has finally had several hours of sleep for the first time since Frederick was born. We get a fun anecdote from Cliff. It's a decent way to start things off. And then we have a double goof, and I thank the person who added this to IMDb because I might not have noticed, but there was also something that I noticed later on that wasn't mentioned on IMDb, which might not be a goof as such, but it's certainly interesting and adds to this. So throughout this scene, we have the reappearance of the same couple 3 times walking into the bar. They walk in at 2 minutes 41. He's wearing a yellow jacket. She's wearing a grey outfit. And then at about 3 minutes, we see the same man about to open the door. And then at 4 minutes 24, we see them coming back in again. And we might see them a little bit later on as well. That one's a bit strange, so we'll talk about that when we get there. Rebecca then comes into the bar. She's got this special day planned with Robin, so she's leaving the bar in everybody else's control. And she tells Woody to fix his hair, tells Sam to stop fixing his hair, and Robin's actually taken the whole day off, which he never does. So it's a really big deal for Rebecca. She then goes through her clothing for the day. She's going to the beach, and they're having a picnic. They're going to the zoo. There's also an empty coat hanger because there's a time in the day when she's not going to be wearing anything. She's clearly got everything very well planned, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Meanwhile, Frasier then decides to go to the pool room to play darts, and Norm says he'll play him for a beer. And I feel like it's fair to assume that the loser would buy a beer, but Norm corrects him, and he says, and I quote, "No, if you buy me a beer, I'll play you," which I thought was a better way for Norm to guarantee a beer. Found it quite funny. Enter Robin. Rebecca's very excited. Robin is fine. Woody then talks with Robin, and I got my first laugh out loud of the episode. And this is when Woody says, and I quote, "Back in Hanover, we used to always take Sundays off. Yeah, me and my family would dress in our best clothes and sit in the parlour and read from the good book. Then afterward, me and my brother would go out to the barn and read from a bad book." And just his delivery was absolutely fantastic. So for me, that was my first proper laugh of the episode. Frasier and Norm then come back through from the pool room and they ask Robin to play, and we get this brilliant shot. The camera focuses initially on Robin at one end saying these ridiculous things, these really sarcastic things, and then we get another shot with the bar filling the screen, and the guys are obviously all in the shot, and it highlights, in my opinion, that on the one hand we've got Robin, and then on the other hand we have the entire bar, the whole gang at Cheers. Robin versus everybody else. He's not part of the fold. Nobody except Rebecca likes him. I thought it was a really, really interesting shot. And Sam, once Robin is out of the room, calls Robin arrogant. And Carla reminds Sam that he's the best darts player. He could easily knock Robin down a peg or two. We then cut to the pool room with Norm and Frasier resting back in the sofa. Rebecca comes in from the beach with Woody because she was fed up of waiting for Robin. And, well, apparently she left Woody at the beach buried up to his neck in sand. And then with focus on the darts game, Carla screams, "Sammy wins," which of course is what everybody wanted to hear. I would be very surprised if anybody watching it wanted Robin to win. And Robin suggests they play pool. and Sam says, "No, I never like to nail a guy twice in one afternoon." And I immediately got the double entendre there. It was immediately obvious. But I was more surprised by the fact that Carla responded immediately, "You haven't lived." So yes, that was my immediate thought. I expected something like that to be maybe left unsaid, but for the audience to pick up on. But it's unusual, maybe not completely unheard of, but unusual for sex jokes in Cheers to be quite so obvious, but it worked really, really well, and I think the fact that it was unexpected made it even funnier. Robin then suggests playing pool for $1. It's not about the money, it's about the trophy aspect, and we get this gorgeous shot looking down the pool table of Robin and Sam in unison, both in the exact same position, absolutely fabulous, about to play pool, and then we hear Sam say, I can't understand why anyone would get that excited about winning $1. We immediately cut to the gang at Cheers parading behind Sam as they go back into the bar with Sam holding up his dollar proudly in the air. Needless to say, Sam is very happy. Colcord seems a bit dejected. He refers to a shot that, and I quote, ricocheted off that mailman's head. And there's just something really interesting about the fact that he doesn't know Cliff's name. And I think for the most part, that's just because Robin cannot be bothered to learn anybody's name. But also because Cliff wants to be known, he wants to be part of the gang, he doesn't want to be left out. The fact that Robin doesn't even know his name is kind of a little funny. Cliff then comes in and he's clearly a little concussed. Frasier then suggests, quite merrily in an upbeat way, that they go down to the ER. Clearly something is up with Cliff. Definitely a good idea to get him checked out. A pretty good message there, but they kept it lighthearted. Robin then does ask Sam for another game, and he says all of the right things to wind up Sam. And he says only the physical things, or the things at which Sam is adroit. And Sam responds, nobody calls me adroit. And we will come back to that a little bit later on, but I can just hear Diane cackling with laughter as soon as Sam said that. And we do get some more remarks from Robin about Sam's intelligence, or in his opinion, lack thereof. And I wish Diane were there to hear this conversation. I can only imagine the things that she would say. She'd want to defend Sam, depending on what stage they were in their relationship. Part of her would want to defend Sam, but she also often takes the opportunity to put Sam down when it comes to his intelligence. So I think her position in that scene would be pretty interesting. Sam then tells Carla to get out the Yahtzee. Robin meant chess. And the stakes are high. It's a week's pay. The winner gets the other person's salary. And Robin briefly leaves. Sam remarks that his salary, Robin's salary, could be enough to buy the bar back, and then declares that all he needs to do is learn to play chess within the next hour. And then we cut to the office, and I learned an interesting fact recently. And I will in the description put the links to where I learned this. One was Ken Levine's blog, and there was another blog as well that mentioned this. And it's so interesting once you see it. The wall on the right-hand side would actually swing round to bring the office set forward whenever they were filming those scenes. The bar is actually on a hinge, and that would swing around to make room for the wall to then come round. And I don't know why I'd never picked up on this before, but you can definitely see it. And it's quite easy to visualize this here. I had to draw some diagrams and things to wrap my head around it, but to visualize it here, when Frasier comes into the bar, you can see the steps are right behind the office door. But in general, when we can see the office wall when we're in the bar, that wouldn't be the view. So you can kind of visualize the way they've brought the wall around and where it's actually positioned. And I just thought that was really fascinating. And I'm really glad that the first episode I watched, after learning that, allowed me to put that to the test. And it is possible to see. We're now in the office, and they're using a computer chess game and a headset to feed Sam the chess moves. They got all of the stuff from Pete, which was a nice way to involve the character. We then cut to the game. They're in the bar, Sam and Robin, and Sam pretends to be listening to a sports game, which gives him a reason to be wearing the headset. And Rebecca then comes in dressed beautifully. She's with Woody, who's dressed smartly. They've done all of their fun things together that she was meant to do with Robin, which is quite sweet. It's really nice that Woody was willing and perhaps quite keen to do those things with Rebecca. And it did make me wonder who was watching the bar, though, because everybody else was preoccupied. Rebecca then goes into the office and is soon on board with their plan, because it might hurry Robin along, and at least they can finish off the day as planned. And Norm remarks that his bar tab is taking up most of the memory on the computer, and then it goes blank. Carla is confident that Mayday Malone will still succeed, though. Will that be the case? Well, we're back in the bar, and at 18 minutes 40 seconds, The woman in grey, who previously entered the bar 3 times, stands up to leave, and she's with a man wearing yellow. I don't know if it's the same man. From the version on Amazon Prime, at least the way it's cropped, I couldn't quite see his head. But he's now wearing a yellow sweater. The 3 times he entered the bar previously, or at least the 2 times we saw him clearly, he was wearing a yellow jacket with a zip. And as far as I can see, he's very clearly wearing a yellow, if it even is the same person, he's wearing a yellow sweater this time. But I'm pretty confident it's the same woman in grey. I don't know if she just likes men wearing yellow. I don't know if this is the same guy and all he wears is yellow. But I thought that was pretty funny. And then we're back with Sam and Robin. And Robin remarks after Sam's move, "That's very clever, Sam." Kind of condescending. And then within a matter of seconds, Sam remarks, "Checkmate." And Robin is baffled, and all he can say with a brilliant tone is, "What?" Robin runs around, runs to the office, and yells through the door, "Which one of you told him to make that stupid move?" Robin had realised the game Sam was listening to was already over. He was being fed information, and he was well aware of what was happening. Sam then tells Woody, "Don't be a droit." Droit is a new word. It is actually apparently a French word, but it doesn't mean what Sam thinks it means. And I just love the fact that we have now got a new word, and I want to call somebody a droit at the next given opportunity. Robin then said he went along with this despite knowing it was fixed because it was the only thing that held any challenge for him, which I guess is fair enough. It's a good explanation. It makes sense that he would say that. And then Sam says, "Okay, but I still won fair and square," and he demands Robin's salary, his weekly salary. And after a brief explanation, we learn that Robin's salary for 1 week is a penny. Rebecca scolds both of them, says it was the most pathetic day of her life. And Woody starts weeping because, of course, she spent the day with Woody. Bless Rebecca, though. She immediately jumped to reassure Woody that she had fun with him, but it was just... everything snowballed in that moment. Everything was going really well with Rebecca scolding everybody, and then she said that, and Woody started crying, and it was just chaotic but fun and very, very well executed. Robin and Sam then both apologise to Rebecca, which I think is fair enough, and Sam says, "Let's call it even," and he puts out a hand for Robin to shake, which Robin accepts with a tiny bit of hesitation. And they hold hands for a few seconds too long until Robin launches into 1, 2, 3, 4, I declare a thumb war. They start having a thumb war, Rebecca rolls her eyes, and there we end the episode. It's fabulous fun. I don't like Robin. I don't know many people who like Robin, but at the same time, this is a solid episode. We get a lot of comedy. Pretty much all of the characters are involved in some way. We have a new star of the show, the woman in grey, and potentially the man in yellow. Carla's remark about not nailing the same guy twice in one day was, I think, unexpected for the show at this time, and I think it worked really well. We have a new word. Calling somebody a droit is definitely something I want to take advantage of. It's really good fun. And of course, the fact about The Office, I was glad that I was able to see that in more real time rather than just looking at random images. I'd love to see it in action. I doubt I ever will. I doubt there's footage of it, but I'd love to see how they moved the wall and how far back the bar had to swing. I can kind of visualize it, but I'd love that kind of extra proof of actually seeing it from a different angle, maybe from a camera further out towards the audience. I doubt I'll ever see it, but maybe one day if anybody has any more information on that, I'd love to know. I had a lot of fun with this. Indoor fun with Sammy and Robby. Considering this is a Robin Colcord-centric episode, I'd say this is pretty fabulous and ultimately definitely one that I'll always really thoroughly enjoy. I think I end every Cheers discussion that way. Almost. There are very few episodes that I don't love. There might be one, and I think that's maybe it. Either way, indoor fun with Sammy and Robby most certainly is tremendous fun.